All right, let's talk about some of these trades today on the futures MES contracts. First of all, I'm really liking using this 10,000 tick chart to keep me out of trouble. Trying to go long, even on good trend line breaks on the 1,000 tick. I mean, I scalped a little bit here and there, and I was able to keep my stop loss very, very tight on some of these spots. One break even, one 3 tick loss, and then we had a little bit of a scalp to the upside here. But I'm just noticing, why should I try really hard to go long in this area when, it's different if we see a big move up like this and it's trending up, and trend lines go down, and on the lower time chart, you get a trend line break and you push it up. But right now, it's just sideways. I like playing the range if I could, though, buying at the absolute bottom, but not necessarily waiting for the trend line break confirmation. It's a different strategy. So depending on what strategy you're using, for me right now, I'm practicing my trend line break using the moving averages of the 10,000 tick chart. As long as these moving averages are basically going up, then I'm trying to buy when trend lines break and ride it to the upside. But there's times when it's not that simple. Right now we are in a sideways market, and some trend line breaks. Let's take a look at some of them. Like I've tried up here a couple of times. I did have two that worked, but we were not really in a range yet. This last fall put us back into this range. Let's see where it did work for me here. Right here was the first trade. 2 try sell pattern off the Fibonacci, off the green area, buy zone, consolidation, and I bought. Stop was right under the consolidation, and it went right up there and hit my 1.5 target. Okay, right here, I tried a trend line break. Let's see where we're at on the 10,000 tick chart. Okay, yeah, that's reasonable. Right over here is where it's trying to break out, pintail break out over the top here. Right now, I got stopped out. Looks like I barely got stopped out before it went in my favor. Let's take a look at that again here. Yeah, it just really had my stop too close. If I had it under this pivot, it all worked out. 10,000 tick chart, those pintails, if I had it a little lower, it might have worked out. But what I did do is I got back in it and hit my target after that. Hit a bigger target. I looked again and go, this 2 pintails, I got to try it. Now notice, 2 pintails and a reverse topping tail, and then it crashes back down into the range. So this may stay like this all day long. I wouldn't even be convinced about any breakouts over these new trend lines at this point. It's going to have to get up over, really push strong, consolidate towards the highs of these days, consolidate and push through before I'm really excited about like holding for longer targets. I may be able to scalp though, and that's what I did. Let's see. Let's take a look at one of them. Right here, I had a breakout. I had a chance right here to get something, and I literally waited for this to come back down to the trend line that it was breaking out of, and I waited for a pintail to develop, and I waited for that pintail to develop. And what happens is when it came back down to that pintail, off that moving average, off that trend line, and off that moving average, I bought it, and I used that pintail as my stop loss. It went green for a minute, and I dragged my stop to break even, and it just broke me even. I like that trade. I had a 2-tick risk on a potentially 10, 15, 20 tick to the upside. So I'm looking for trades like that. We did another one right here where there was a little bit of a break of a trend line here. It started going green. It came back down red onto multiple trend lines. I know it looks messy, but these trend lines serve a purpose. Here's a trend line from a while back that served as resistance, right? And it worked really. Here's a trend line from a while back right here that worked as support. So it might look crazy to some people, but there's reason to the madness. Here's an area where I did the same thing. It started going green, waited for it to pull back. I didn't jump in at the top. I wait for the red. I wait for the pintails. I go in. I try to buy as low as I can. I say, okay, I'll risk 2 ticks, 3 ticks. This one was a 3-tick loss, only 3 ticks. And then I jumped in over here with a trend line break because it just looked like the momentum was kicking in a lot better. And I just very tight stop loss, and we dragged our stop up until we got almost a 1-to-1 on it. Would have gotten a 1-to-1 on that, but then again, if I didn't grab my profits at time, it would have stopped me out. You know, you definitely want to at least be broke even when something pulls back on you like that. You don't want to lose a full risk reward. So that's what we're trading like today, using the same moving average strategy on the 10,000 tick chart, following the moving averages direction on the 10,000 tick chart. Right now it's bullish, looking for opportunities on trendline breaks to go long. All right, February 6th, this Tuesday. Looks the kind of choppiness we've been having right here. This is the whole choppy sideways day, it looks like. That's what we're dealing with on the hourly chart. Let's take a look at when I came into work here to trade at about 9:30 right here. The bell opened up and you can see that it's sideways right there, but I just came in at the right moment. On the 10,000 tick chart, it was coming into some support levels right here on the 10,000 tick chart. Right here on this support level is where we had our trend line break, and it's exactly where I took my first trade. It was the best, beautiful setup that I had. I mean, it was beautiful. My favorite to try to sell, boom, boom, consolidation. I buy, I sell higher. I should have held more, and that's the big mistake today, is I just didn't hold. I really wanted to get a profit today, and you know, that was guaranteeing me a profit today. So, you know, and the whole day is in this range kind of thing. So I'm taking a big chance, you know, when it gets up higher, when it gets up in these areas right up here, taking trades to the long side. Let's see, where was I on those next few trades? Yeah, because the next couple of trades, even though one of them was a winner, was really right here on these, in this area right here before the big drop. I was still trying to go long. So you can see right here, I was basically just simply using this area as a trend line break. And, you know, it didn't work on the first one, okay? So you can see right here, I got long right there, and my stop was underneath that candle. If my stop was underneath that pivot, I wouldn't have had to get long again right here and get out up there. That was a success. Going that way was a good one, right? So my pivot, I didn't really want to lose that much, you know, and when you are that high and you're getting into the red zone, once you're entering into an area that you know is a red zone, you know, those trades are already risky. So I try to keep my stops, you know, as short as possible. And I really thought this one was going to work because it had came down on a pintail and didn't stop me out. So I said, all right, we're actually going to make it through this pintail right here. My stop was right underneath it. And so it looked like a bullish, you know, situation. And then it just came down and it finally went further. It came back up. And I just said, you know what? It's breaking a trend line again. This time I'm going to have my stop. I don't, you know what? I really don't remember where I put my stop on this. I should have had better records. But we did get, I'm pretty sure it was right underneath that candle right there, because getting stopped out twice, I wouldn't want to, you know, I wouldn't want a very big stop loss. So that was a good trade, okay? And then we get into, this is the fourth trade right here. And don't forget, we're just chopping around in this area, this range where you get a little bit of support and you got a sell zone. It's just going up and down in this area. So all these trades are taking place in that kind of environment. Now, this is my fourth trade. I like this style of trading. It broke a trend line. And what happened here was I tried to get in when it came down to test this trend line right here. And I didn't want to jump in up here. I probably should have tried it, this same technique right here, and I would have made some money. Because what I do on this technique is I wait for price to retest. And what it did, it opened up here. It opened here. It came down and went this way and turned green. So it was green, looking bullish. So I put my stop right underneath this, right underneath the pintail. And then it came right back down and stopped me out. So I tried to, the point of this kind of trading is to have as little stop loss as you can for a magnitude run up. It's really, the risk reward is just amazing. So it's worth having a little bit of a stop loss on that. So I guess I couldn't do it here because it never came down to retest. But if it did come down to retest, you want to see it start going back up. And if you believe that it's going to keep going up, you immediately use that as your stop loss. So price comes down, starts going back up, you jump in, you use that as your stop loss, and you hope that it goes all the way back up, all right? So that's the goal of that kind of trading. It's really scalping, really. So that was the fourth trade, and I think it did pretty good. All right, same thing happened here, it looks like. Price broke the trend line. I wanted it to come back down. It started going back up, and I jumped in, and I used this part as my stop loss. It was up here. It came down and tested. It was going back up. I jumped in. I used that bottom part as my stop loss because it started going back up. It did come back down, hopped over, and it was going back up. I said, great. And then it just came down and stopped me out. So that little tiny stop loss was another loser on that. But the winners are usually so much better that it's worth a few stops like that. So here's another trend line stop, trend line break that we took advantage of. So yeah, that was the fifth trade. Here's the sixth trade. Saw the momentum on this. It was in a green zone. It had slowly started making lower, less and less strides to the downside. It broke all these trend lines, sometimes leaving trend lines in, multiple trend lines from past distance, really converge and give you a very good insight to price where it might go. I really believed that this was going to pop up. And so as soon as it got going over that second one, I put my stop right under that same candle, or it might have been under that bar right there. All right. The problem here again is I didn't wait long enough. I don't even think this was a 1-to-1. So in my opinion, this was a pretty bad trade because I didn't even really get 1-to-1. I closed early, it says here on my notes. So that's unfortunate because I really could have gotten probably 2-to-1 or more on that. And that was my last trade. I decided to take a profit today and not overtrade and look at this choppy range. There might have been one more good, trade in here somewhere. I was looking at that. This would have been a good trade. I will tell you this. The cleanness of this line here into the green zone. And I'm pretty sure what I would have done on this particular trade, and I could see myself doing it now, is once that broke, it put the pintail in the next bar over, it started going green. I probably would have tried to jump in there and use that bar as my stop loss, or even that bar as my stop loss. So if I would have stayed in it, I would have got a 2-to-1 out of that easy. I don't know if I would have done any of these other ones. Any opportunities over here in this area. Let's just look at this for fun. Trend line right here, going down this way. See, this is the trouble that can happen. This is only using the 1,000 tick chart. So let's go over here to the 2,000 tick chart because that keeps me out of trouble a lot, I noticed. So let's take a look at the 2,000 tick chart in that same area. What would have happened here? Would I have taken any of those trades? Because the bar that closed past that trend line didn't really close very strongly, you see, right here. It was just a doji. So if I had seen that over here, yeah, this is the area that wasn't very convincing. And if I would have used this trend line here, this 2,000 tick chart, I would have noticed that that's not very strong of a breakout. And the next bar, of course, goes down. So I could have avoided that one there. And I've been using the 2,000 tick chart to keep me out of trouble on this 1,000 tick chart. It's very helpful for that. Here's another area of, let's see what it looks like on the 2,000 tick chart. Yeah, none of it really looks good. I don't think I would have tried that one. Let's take a look at that one right there. Yeah, you see, you keep drawing trend lines and you think you get one. There's one that looks interesting. You see that right there looks interesting, right? But I think you need to let it break out. Now this started to break out. Here's where it created a double bottom though. This is really nice. Let's take a look at this for a second because I want to know what I would have done. I could redo this and, this actually, did this break out? What trend line would we have had on this? There's a breakout. I could have gotten hurt on that one right there maybe. This is a very tough area to trade. And, when I see a market like this on the 10,000 tick chart, I was glad to take my profits right there and get done before noon and call it a day. I had no problem not trading this. Every time I looked at the chart, it was still in the middle here. So it's quite possible, I wouldn't even have tried any of these trades right here. I wouldn't have. And seeing just the way this is looking right here to this point right here, what makes me think that I would trust that breakout right there? And there's really no reason to trust it, especially with a trend line right above, and then when it does break it, it just falls right back down into a sideways market. Then, there's one time when it finally breaks, and then it gave us this was the best. This was the best right here. This was pretty clean, pretty good. Trying this one was really good. But anyway, those are the trades we did not take. And you saw the ones that we did. We were profitable today, thank God. And we're done for today. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.